This is Rachel Hill for the African American Cultural Gardens Sankofa web series. And in this series, we're going to bring to you some of the most fantastic people in Cleveland who are changing lives, making impacts. One of the things that we also discuss with them is what does Black history and culture mean to them, because that's very important. If we don't know where we came from, we don't know where we're going. And we also talk to them about what do they love about the garden as well. So these are wonderful conversations that we think you should sit down and watch, and you can learn and grow and be inspired, because a garden belongs to all of us and it is so important. But also you need to know about what people in the community are doing to better the community, because we all know that we have better days ahead. Please make sure you stay tuned for all of the episodes in the web series of the Sankofa web series, brought to you by the African American Cultural Gardens.
History, particularly with African Americans, is very important because a person without history is like a person with amnesia, which means you don't know where you come from, you don't know who you are, and you really lose a sense as to what is your purpose in life. So history, African American history to Black people is very important because it helps to establish the identity of who we are and what our purpose in our life is. Well, the African American Cultural Garden is really symbolic of the African American history. They go hand in hand. And there's a meaning to the architectural design of the garden. And for the garden to exist, to have a point of identity, and it has this symbol of African Americans in America, along with knowing the history, is essential to be holistic in our identity here in America, but in this case, particularly with the garden in Cleveland, Ohio. Well, my hopes for the garden is that it gets completed, number one, and that the community uses it as an asset and as something that they can use as an educational tool for the community as a whole.
This is Rachel Hill for the African American Cultural Garden Sankofa web series. And today I have a special guest, Randy McShepard, with us today. And super excited to have Randy here. From our last series, we talked about our garden. What does Black history and culture mean to every one of our guests? So we're going to continue to go with that same format. So Randy, can you tell our audience a little bit about yourself?
Okay, well, hello, audience. Hello, Rachel. My name is Randell McShepard. I am a lifelong Clevelander and very proud of it. Um, Grew up in on the southeast side of Cleveland. Graduated from John F. Kennedy High School. I like to say they locked the gate and would never let me out of Cleveland because I've been here all my life. I went to college at Baldwin Wallace. I went to grad school at Cleveland State. Had chances to go to other cities, but just remained in Cleveland. And over the years, I've tried to be an active citizen. I've served on, get ready for this, over 40 nonprofit boards and commissions throughout the community, statewide, et cetera. And most people know me as a man that tries to make good things happen on behalf of the city of Cleveland. And that's something I'm very proud of. So, married, 3 kids, and otherwise, happy to answer any other questions and go a little deeper with our conversation.
So yeah, I wanna ask you, what does Black history and culture mean to you?
Black history and culture means everything to me because, but in a word, I would say it would be summed up as pride. Because when you think about our culture and you think about our history, the first emotion that any of us should have as people of color is pride, because our culture and history is so rich and so important and so critical to the world. I mean, we've given the world so much as where humanity started, where greatness still is. And we certainly brought that to this country when you think about what African American culture means to the United States of America. I mean, pick your field: music, science, sports and entertainment, education. You name it. We have excelled, and people typically follow what African American culture dictates, and that's something that we should all be a lot more excited about and proud of. And unfortunately, not enough times in our communities do we embrace and get excited about our culture. We sometimes aren't aware of it. We don't celebrate it enough. And hopefully that will change, because as the years go by, there's so much more to be proud of. Not a day, not a year goes by that great Black history and culture are taking place in our communities.
And what are some of your thoughts about what's taking place in history right now with communities of color and just what's taking place in the United States as a whole?
Well, I would certainly agree with the term that many are using, which is a reckoning. If you study history, it doesn't take one reading many books to understand that African Americans have been victimized, criminalized, and otherwise disenfranchised for far too many years, in too many ways. And I think that we have the strength and beauty of our people is that we have endured. We have continued to climb. We've continued to scratch when we've had pretty much no resources. We still always found a way. And as the years have progressed and we've gotten a little smarter and reached certain levels of excellence and reached certain, mountaintops, if you will, being leaders of business and industry and being business owners and being, in positions of influence. Although we celebrate that, it has, I think, made some people angry or made some people a bit nervous about what is happening to America. We should be celebrating the fact that there is a browning of America, but that is a good thing, because we can continue to, I think, play out this melting pot that they say America is supposed to be, where people from all backgrounds can bring something of value to the community and to the country. I think that there is a reckoning taking place. I think that anyone with an honest, assessment of what's going on would have to admit that this is not the America that they would hope to see and experience and live in. What makes America great is that we have actually supported people from all backgrounds and ensured that everyone has equal opportunity to do great things and to be their best selves. And when that happens, great things are generated on behalf of the country that benefit all. When we continue to hold people back, it really hurts the country. If people of color can't flourish, as an example, that's not just a problem for the Black community, that's the problem for everyone. Because if we can't be business owners and productive workers and those kinds of things, we can't contribute to the tax base. We can't, buy products. We can't do all the things that make economies work. So it is in our best interest to ensure that everyone is a part of the economic vibrance and vitality of this country. So I think that that's where we're missing the boat. We're forgetting that it takes all citizens of this country to contribute to its greatness. And when we embrace that and accept that, we will become a great nation. And if we ignore that, we will always be a nation that will be troubled and dealing with these kinds of difficult times.
You had said that this isn't the America that we know because of what's happening nowadays. But my question for you would be, is this truly what America is? We just didn't want to realize it or face it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, for us, it's the America that we've always known.
Yeah, we tried to warn them. We tried to warn them.
Right. Yeah, we've seen this movie before.
Yeah.
We've been victimized. I mean, we know all the stories about our ancestors being run out of the South when they dared try to stand up, and we know what happened when we had cities like Rosewood, where Blacks pretty much on their own said, "Hey, we'll run our own businesses and support each other," and they were burned to the ground, and they were tortured and those kinds of things. So we know the capabilities of hatred and the original sin of this country, and we, again, as I stated, we've endured, and I think as a result of our enduring, we have made this country much better than it would have been otherwise. I think we just, as a community and as a country, have to ask ourselves: do we want to assume that we can operate like it's 1875 versus 2021? And act as though there are certain citizens in this country that are deserving of being treated less than their fellow citizen? The answer, of course, is no, but there's some people that want to hold on firm to that old school line of thinking. And it is so tired, it is so far back in our history, because if you just look at the advancements of people of color and our contributions to this country, you have to admit that it has benefited America for people of color to transcend and transform and just be again their best selves. And you pick a field, and we're there. We've been astronauts, we've been scientists, we've had medical breakthroughs, we've been successful in business, we've been the greatest entertainers and athletes. We have created phenomenal Black colleges and universities. I was just thinking recently, a lot of the people that we've been celebrating are products of historically Black colleges. You think about Stacey Abrams and the work she's done in Georgia, which has led to the Democrats actually taking back the Senate. She's a graduate of a historically Black college. You think about Kamala Harris being the first African American and woman to reach the heights of the vice president position. She's a product of a historically Black college. So I can go on and on, but I think you get the idea that these levels of excellence make the country great. It's not like they're just doing it. They're not just saying that they want Black people to have a good life, although that's important to them. They want to see the country do well. And the country should embrace that and be excited about the fact that so many bright people contributing to the betterment of this country happen to be people of color.
Absolutely. And a question I have for you is, what does the garden mean to you, the African American Cultural Garden? What does that mean to you? And what made you come to love it?
Yes, the African American Cultural Gardens means a lot to me, especially because I had a hand in helping to finally get to a point where we were able to build the current structure that we see. I personally was very frustrated about the fact that we had land that went back 40, 50 years that had never been developed. And I just said, I won't tell my grandkids that, this was something that was talked about 30, 40, 50 years ago and that never happened, that I would do all that I could do to help the project come to fruition. And I certainly was one of many, but I certainly did my part, I would say, in ensuring that the garden, at least I should say phase one of the garden, because there's more that to come, obviously. But it's nice to see it all coming together. I think it's important because Cleveland's Black history is so rich, so important, so many firsts, so many things that people need to know and celebrate about Cleveland. Having the first Black mayor of any major U.S. city, and who happened to have a brother who became the first Black congressman from the state of Ohio. This is where Garrett Morgan, who developed a traffic light, is from. This is where Jesse Owens, Central Neighborhood, who shamed Hitler, when he won those gold medals, came from. This is where Langston Hughes hails from. Langston Hughes cut his teeth at Karamu Theater. Karamu Theater being, one of the first, African-American multicultural center of its kind in the country. I can go on and on, but these are things that not every city can boast about, and we certainly can, and we should continue to do that. And one way to maybe help people to pause and reflect on all that is great and all the greatness that has come from our fair city is to visit the African American Cultural Gardens and just spend time slowing down and looking back at what has happened and all the contributions that we've made and how we've shaped this city in a positive way. And of course, how that has laid the foundation for continued good work, things that we will always be doing to lead our city to greatness and to be a place that people turn to understand how the Black experience can be rich and exciting and dynamic in a city that's majority African American. We can do that. We have had our challenges in Cleveland, but I think we've also seen some of the greatest accomplishments in Cleveland as well for people of color. So I just, am excited about the fact that the Cultural Gardens really allows people to appreciate not only our history, but our culture. And, Black, white, Hispanic, and otherwise, we want everyone to understand our culture because it is unique and as important to Cleveland as anyone else.
My last question for you to wrap up our time is, you said that you've served over 40 plus boards. First of all, where do you get the time to be able to do that with a wife and 3 children? And also, what would you say are some of the boards that have impacted your life the most?
Well, I would say, first of all, I've done that over 25 years. So it's been just ongoing grinding, and again, because when you see you can make a difference and you're making an impact, you just kind of keep, and you love your city and you love your community, you just kind of find ways and find the energy to continue to push forward. I guess I would be most proud of those nonprofit organizations that I happen to be a co-founder of. And there's 2 that I'll highlight. One is an organization called Policy Bridge, which was founded in 2004. And that is an African-American think tank that researches and analyzes and responds to public policy issues from a minority perspective. We focus on areas that are critical to the Black community, ranging from economic development to workforce development, education, justice, and health disparities. And we have written, dozens of research reports and articles and hosted about 25 forums over the years, bringing in guest speakers and just really lifting up critical issues that affect our community, including being involved in some public policy changes and issues that improve the quality of life for people of color. So that's one. The second, I also co-founded in 2010, is known as the Randell Green Partnership, which is an urban farm in Cleveland's central neighborhood. Me and 2 childhood friends went into that area when it was known as the Forgotten Triangle. It was the most notorious illegal dumping site in the city. And we started putting our own money into it, putting our own sweat equity into it, raising money, building a coalition. And I'm proud to say we started out with 1.3 acres 10 years ago. As we celebrate our 10th anniversary, we now control 15 acres. Just 2 weeks ago, finished a restaurant building where we'll also have cooking classes and cooking demonstrations and special events. We spun off a separate business that is farm raising tilapia fish that we're selling to local restaurants. We have the only EPA licensed compost facility where we're making compost soil for growing and for sale. We have several buildings on our campus, partnerships with schools, partnerships with veterans organizations. What was once an illegal dump is now a site where over 4,000 visitors come annually just to see the urban farm. And we just this past 6 months have also taken over operation of a farmer's market in Maple Heights, which is providing and selling fresh fruits and vegetables to primarily, minority communities, which is another way that we promote the work of our farm. So those have been labors of love that have created jobs, that have provided hope, that have, I think, added so much to the quality of life in Northeast Ohio, and especially for people of color, which I care about. And those would be two that I would hold near and dear. There's many others. My alma mater, Baldwin Wallace University, I've been on that board for 15 years. I spent 7 years on the George Gunn Foundation, and I'm about to start a role on the board of the Cleveland Foundation. I could go on and on, but it's been just a passion of mine to be wherever I can be that can, help our community to, overcome its many challenges and barriers, and to be productive. So it's been fun, and I don't regret anything. I haven't maybe gotten enough sleep. That's the one thing, to your point. But otherwise, it's been a lot of fun.
Well, Randy, I want to thank you so much for your time today, and also thank you for the impact that you have had on our community and your passion to make things better. So that's super important. I want to thank you so much. You're one of the unsung heroes, and maybe a lot of times heroes do not wear capes. So I want to thank you so much for that, and thank you for your time as well. This is Rachel Hill for the Sankofa web series for the African American Cultural Gardens. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Carl Ewing, President of the Association of African American Cultural Gardens. Our mission is to educate regarding the African American experience and to complete the African Cultural Gardens. I'm inviting you to join the movement to help complete your garden. We are excited to be able to break ground for phase 2 of our building project this spring, but I need your help. Go to AAACG.org to place your tax-deductible donations, or send to P.O. Box 20237, Cleveland, Ohio, 44120. And remember, sow a seed and watch us grow. Thank you.
He was an American poet, novelist, and playwright, very famous for being one of the leaders of the Harlem Renaissance. He graduated from Central High School in Cleveland, Ohio. He was raised by his maternal grandmother, who instilled in him a lasting sense of racial pride. One of his poems begins, "The night is beautiful, so are the eyes of my people." Who is this? Langston Hughes.